Does this mic work?
Hello?
What are we doing? What are we doing?
You're listening to the only podcast that admits they might know what they are talking about.
Sounds like something a guy in a van would tell me.
This is We Might Know Sports.
I love you!
Come on! With Kevin,
Don't listen to Steffan and his prep rules.
Steffan,
Fuck Philly.
and Cory.
I hope everyone has a ball.
We like sports and we don't care who knows.
I'm here with the winner, Derek Lewis. Derek, why don't you take your pants off? My balls are hot. I understand.
Wait for me to get off. Can I get a hand?
You can get two.
Or have other business to attend to. All right.
It was throughout from the beginning when Steffan came up here with no pants on.
Yeah, that was
It's been awkward the whole time.
that was a bad but good move on my part.
And here we go.
Wait! Trubisky sucks.
You know, tomorrow is a special day. Many people will be trick-or-treating. I will not be one of those. I will be passing the candy out. What about you, Cory? You going out?
Going out. When you got a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old, you gotta take them out.
Any
Got one
special?
dressing up as Elliot from E.T. She got a red bicycle, basking in the front, E.T. stuffed animal, ready to go. She told me she was gonna fly today, so that'll be interesting.
Ooh.
And then the 1-year-old's gonna be Belle from Beauty and the Beast. So
A little more simple.
yeah.
Less likely to jump off the roof. Alright, so let's check and make sure. Oh, wait, no Steffan, so no
So
bashing.
typical
from him.
show for Might Know Sports.
Yeah, you know. No special guests today, or maybe later, who knows? He may appear. But Steffan will be in the background at least. True quote from Sunday, I'm disgusted with myself. And then I believe you have a quote from me.
Yeah, we have another true quote. It's kind of
From
weird, this
Sunday.
episode.
Sunday was a
Sunday.
very popular quote day.
From Sunday, this was from Kevin, kind of directed to me. Said, fuck kickers.
Mm-hmm.
As our Bucks and Bengals played each other in the jungle.
You know,
There was
think-
almost some Fitzmagic.
it's pretty much just a given every weekend that the Bengals play. I'm going to say fuck the Bengals to Cory.
Sorry.
That was a little edited with the fuck the kickers instead because, you know, the one time I need a kicker not to come through and he comes through, the jerk. But we'll talk about that. Lots
When
happening.
the special guest appears.
Yeah, a lot's happened in the last couple days. Let's see here. Some people got released. Some people got traded.
Oh, yeah, I was going to let Steffan go, our host, when he gets here, go through the rundown, because I know trades keep happening.
Some people may have been fired.
Yeah.
And
Some surprisingly.
yeah. Some maybe we're holding on hope. But we'll get to that towards the end of the podcast. Let's jump right in. Unless you have any weekend updates.
I have no weekend updates. I'm ready.
All right. Well, last week's question of the week. Who is going to win the World Series? Of course, we all know the Red Sox did win yesterday, clinching.
Did anyone vote for the Dodgers?
Yeah, actually. Sorry, I was shocked. I know myself. 58% voted for the Red Sox. That voted in our poll. 42
Wow.
voted for the Dodgers. For those non-math experts such as myself.
The that Redskins team is Red Sox team is going down as one of the all-time greats. People are saying
It's definitely up there. I wouldn't name it number one, but I mean, wait until next year. That is what I'm looking at when I'm looking at that team because they're all young. Most of them are coming back. They're all under contract and stuff. So, should be interesting to see with a younger Red Sox team.
Shout out to, I believe his name is Pierce, got the MVP.
Yeah, guy that got traded for cash considerations and a draft pick, I believe, from the Blue Jays.
I just wanted to throw his name out there real quick because he deserves some love. Came out of nowhere.
I will say, on top of, we're talking Major League Baseball briefly. Watch out for the Tampa Bay Rays. They came in hot towards the second half of the season, so maybe continuation next year. It's going to be interesting, as always, in the AL East, so we'll see how that goes. All right, so that leads us into this week's question, which has something to do with next week. With the college basketball starting back up, I was wondering, of those that participate in our polls, which is about, it looks like a solid 12 of you, which kind of basketball do you prefer, NBA or NCAA? And currently we are at 100% college basketball. And no, it was not just me. There's 3 votes out there.
And one other, right?
Yeah. One smartass. You know who you are. I know basketball is orange ball. Jeez. Name me a non-orange basketball. Let's see here. Can we?
I have a black one, but it's a LeBron edition.
No, but I mean like...
The Globetrotters.
Yeah, there
Red,
you
white,
go.
and blue.
Bam. I was going to say a commonly used one. And I'm looking to see if we have an updated vote count here. Sorry, I'm distracted by someone who's all of a sudden become live and wanting to do stuff. Brewer wants to play all of a sudden, so the jerk.
He must be who's shaking your camera.
Yeah. Shaky camera view. Or maybe it's a ghost if you believe in the ghosts. I'll let you decide. Alright, so it's still at 3, so there you go. Let's jump into college football. Apparently it's something I do during college football, Corey, when it's just you and I always forget to plug the power into my laptop. So you can lead us away with the predictions while I go find my plug.
With the predictions?
Or I should say, let's go top 25.
Okay. Our top 25, our first 5, not too many changes. 4 of us picked Alabama. 1 of us picked Clemson.
Again.
So we got Alabama. What'd you say?
Again.
Yeah, again. So we got Alabama number 1, Clemson number 2. Notre Dame did not move. They are number 3. LSU didn't move. Number 4. Michigan did not move at number 5. UCF dropped 1, even though they continued their winning ways and are still undefeated, to number 6. Georgia moved up a little bit after their good win. Ohio State, number 8. Oklahoma, they moved up 2 to number 9. West Virginia and Washington State, 2 of our bigger jumpers, moved up 3. Kentucky, number 12. Texas, the big drop, all the way down to 13. They dropped 6. Florida dropped 4. We didn't hurt them too much for their loss to Georgia. Penn State moved up because they just keep winning. 2. Houston, a little surprising. They beat an undefeated team and dropped 7. Utah State and Fresno State moved up big, 9, 8 spots. Utah moved up 7. Syracuse,
big win in the dome.
Home against a ranked team will put you in our top 25 and moved them up 6. Buffalo's in. Iowa's in. Georgia Southern. Steffan laughed at me last week.
Yeah.
Then they go and they beat a ranked team, so shut up, Steffan.
Who's in now?
Georgia Southern's in. Boston College is in. They're also in on the AP rankings. And then Cincinnati's still holding in. Or they moved in one, I guess I should say.
Yeah.
They were dropped out and they just moved up.
Came back in. Welcome to the
Came back
party.
in with all the losses.
I mean, look at how many teams dropped.
Right.
Just like
all
the real
losses
poll.
in the top 25 allowed a lot of teams to get in.
Mm-hmm.
Wild year.
At least at the bottom.
Yeah. I mean, we have Houston, Utah State, and Fresno State. Schools that you probably wouldn't have guessed at the beginning of the year. At 16, 17, 18. Even Utah at 19. All surprising.
Where the heck is Utah anyway? Who knows?
So moving on to our predictions for the week.
Yeah. I got Joe's, so we'll fill that out as we go.
Perfect. The games. Did you pick these games this week, Kevin?
I always pick these ones unless Steffan gets anxious and fills them out. Why?
That's what I wasn't sure. You have Georgia visiting Kentucky.
Whoa. Let's recap.
Oh, okay.
Do a little recap. Shout out to us. You're trying to not give us credit where credit's due. We went 4-1 last week, Corey.
What?
We went 4-1 last week.
I know.
You got Florida wrong. I got South Florida wrong. Stupid Florida teams.
Yeah. What the hell?
Steffan, just a bad weekend in general for fantasy for Steffan.
I was going to say you were the only one to pick Georgia, and on the flip side, I was the only one to pick Houston.
Yeah.
That gave us the scores for the weeks that we got.
Mm-hmm. We had faith in Washington State. Joe regrettably picked Stanford anyway, even though he was like, God damn it, Steffan.
He seemed on the fence about it, yeah.
Yeah. So, not enough to convince him. We all went Penn State. And then the one that did Steffan in, the thriller in the dome this past weekend, Syracuse over NC State, 51-41. That ended up breaking the tie that was between you and Steffan and sent Steffan all the way to last place.
Oh, yeah.
Joy.
I'm catching up to Joe. You better get it together.
Yeah. Joe down, or only up one. I'm one game ahead of Steffan, so it was make or break. I had to pick wisely on mine. And that leads us into next week, or this coming weekend, I should say. Exciting games coming up this weekend.
Yeah, I found these games kind of hard to pick, to be honest. I'm not too confident in my picks.
Yeah.
We have Georgia visiting Kentucky.
That one's a
great
tough
game.
one.
Yep.
Because you don't know what to expect from Kentucky. They haven't really had anyone.
I'm kind of going, for my pick, I went with What Have You Done For Me Lately? And I didn't like that Kentucky struggled with Missouri.
Correct.
So I went Georgia. Kevin, how was your reasoning?
I went with Georgia because I feel like Kentucky, like I just said, hasn't really played anyone. So it's like, I don't have faith in you until you prove otherwise. So this game against Georgia, huge. Whether or not that means, hey, I'm taking you against Alabama in the SEC championship. Basically, this is for the SEC championship. I'm pretty sure this clinches it, actually, for the one school. So this is basically who gets to lose to Alabama or beat Alabama, however you want to look at it.
Georgia, Alabama would be a rematch of last year's championship, right?
Mm-hmm. Also, I think Georgia beat them in the SEC championship too. So
Oh, that's what got them into the playoff, maybe?
yeah, so it'd be like part 5 of a series.
And then we have Steffan, who is in love with Kentucky this year. That's his dark horse school. So he went Kentucky. What'd Joe do?
He went with Georgia.
Okay.
He also went with our next matchup, taxes. That's what it came as, the message. It didn't say Texas, it said taxes. So Texas hosting West Virginia.
Wow.
We're all going Texas in this one, so
That's surprising because West Virginia is having a good season. None of us have faith in them to win on the road.
yeah. So, I mean, I've never been a West Virginia fan. That's why I didn't pick them.
Yeah.
So.
I'm not. That was the one I really wasn't confident in. I really think West Virginia can go in there and beat them.
I mean, if
But I looked up who they had played, and I just thought Texas is more battle tested.
yeah,
Next,
the big
Wow.
one.
the Big Blue teams, another kind
Yeah.
of surprise. I guess not really because it's in Michigan,
Yeah,
but Penn State going into Michigan, rivalry game. We all went Big Blue.
big blue. So that means we're probably getting one of these wrong, since
Yeah.
usually when we have 2 games where we all agree, it doesn't work out.
No. Then Joe's favorite game of the week, Alabama heading into LSU.
Yeah. I know
I
you guys were afraid to pick this game last week, so
Yeah, I didn't want to do it. I just picked Bama because they're Bama.
going with the 13-point favorite. It's going to be a fun game to watch on CBS. It's the night game. I mean, I'm trying to think I'm taking LSU just based on they're the home team. Alabama usually loses 1, and I'm giving this one their 1. So we'll see.
I almost did the same, but I just didn't have the balls to pull the trigger.
Gotta have the cojones to take
Gotta have
first
it.
place. Playing it safe this week.
Like you said, it's gonna happen, but I just didn't pull the trigger on it. They're gonna lose a game somewhere.
Yeah. Well, my thing with you though is you're taking the exact same picks Joe is, so you're not gaining any ground.
No. Well,
Because in our last matchup we have Virginia Tech, Boston College. This is in Blacksburg. Everyone except Steffan taking Virginia Tech.
yeah, and I don't want to switch. So looks like Joe and I are staying tied this week.
I have a golden opportunity to at least gain a game, make it a little more interesting in the standings, college football wise at least. I know Syracuse is taking on Wake Forest, so I didn't include that game. 2 big games in the SEC. We have the Big 12, Big 10, and an ACC.
I figured in 2 weeks you'll probably put Syracuse up on our thing.
Who they play in 2 weeks?
Notre Dame.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, you know, that's going to be interesting because I think Notre Dame's playing Florida State this week.
We have to get through Wake and Louisville.
There you
And then if we go on a win streak, continue this win streak, going into Notre Dame, I think the game will be very intriguing.
go.
Especially if Notre Dame is undefeated at that time as well.
Yeah, and that's what they would consider like a trap game because it's in New York City. A lot of people feel like Syracuse is that dangerous opponent. They have had nothing but close games if they lost. The 2 games they lost were close. So
That's
I
why
think
we have
it's true.
Syracuse ranked, I figured. I mean, they went into Clemson and played them as tight as you can.
in Clemson,
In Clemson, in Death Valley. And
Mhm.
then at home, they got another ranked team. And they blew the top out off of that defense. So Syracuse is real.
As real can get. I mean,
they're not like top 10 real, but they're definitely a bottom half, top 25 team and can beat anybody.
yeah. Other than that, I don't have anything else to add to that. You got any other college talk?
No college football.
Big boy talk.
I will say I watched my first full college football game this weekend.
Oh, yeah?
Saturday I was enthused to watch Syracuse versus NC State, and I enjoyed it.
Enthused.
Yeah, I was hearing good things about this Syracuse football team, so I figured I'd check them out, and they didn't disappoint me.
Well, wait until you watch this week's game when it's a disaster for Syracuse.
Like the letdown to Pittsburgh?
Yep. That is one thing this team is always exciting to watch, so not too worried about that. All right. We have next. Let's see here. All right. Whew. Had a little nervousness. I was looking at my soundboard and I don't see any sound coming out. I got nervous, so I wanted to make sure that was going out. I was like, oh shit. All right, so that works. Brewer, you can be quiet for a change. Jeez, making so much noise over here. Just going to town on this antler. That leads us to UFC 230 in MSG. This one came out of nowhere. It's like, oh, it's gonna be November, Thursday. Look at that.
Yeah, I was originally excited, but I got to admit, after the pullout, I'm not as excited.
That's what she said.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, Souza. You notice I haven't made a pick yet. I haven't heard back from Ben with his picks. Usually he'll give me them tonight, so we'll have that updated next week with the winners. But we're all going Cormier right now.
Yep.
You two are going with submissions. I think it's going to be decision. And I only say decision just because I don't think Lewis has ever been knocked out.
Or submitted.
Well, I mean, he's a tough guy to submit.
I'm going submission because Cormier is probably the best wrestler I've seen, and I think Derek Lewis probably is a tough guy to submit because of his sheer strength, but he definitely has a stamina issue. So, I mean, I'm being risky going submission 1. I'm just trying to gain points on Ben any way I can.
Yeah, I think
A submission 2 or a submission 3 waiting for Lewis to tire is probably more realistic.
I mean, he's fought some pretty good wrestlers in his way to the top. I mean, Mark Hunt's not bad, and that was a TKO. All right, there you go. Never mind. He has been knocked out. Just looking at his previous fight.
Did he beat Ngannou in that snoozer?
Yeah. Who else is he beaten? I mean, he won by decision versus Roy Nelson.
Yeah, Roy's a submission guy.
I mean, now that I saw, I mean, he's been knocked out by other people too. Now that I saw that, it's like, I don't think Cormier's got the knockout power. I think I'm just trying to gauge. I'll stick with decision. I don't think being last minute, I don't think it's going to be submission. I didn't see any submissions in the last 4 years for him, so with that being said, this is actually a risky fight for Cormier. I mean, Lewis has got that knockout power. We've seen it. We saw it last fight. So, I mean...
Well, and we know he carries it to the very last minute.
Mm-hmm. And it being so short of a time window. Basically, Lewis was saying he was carrying over his training, basically.
But you're kind of making me more confident in my pick because I feel like Cormier knows Lewis has that knockout power and isn't going to stand up and trade with Lewis. I think he will be shooting in and going for takedowns quite often. He has to try not to get caught for sure, shooting in. But I think he's quicker. He's definitely a small heavyweight. We know that.
He's probably coming in at like 245.
Yeah.
So, we'll see. With the Souza Weidman fight, I know very little about Souza, so that's why I haven't made my pick. Why are you going Weidman knockout?
Because I don't know that much about Souza, and I know Weidman has some power. I was, like I said earlier, I was a lot more excited for Rockhold Weidman. I'm hoping this is kind of just a stay busy fight for Weidman. Probably an opponent they thought they could sell that Weidman should beat, so they can do the Rockhold Weidman. That's why I'm going that way.
I'm looking at Souza is coming off of a loss by decision to Kelvin Gastelum.
Yeah, I really think this is just the UFC making it so Weidman doesn't have a wasted camp.
Yeah.
I think they're giving him a fight he should win. Having said that, it's not like, I mean, they gave Kimbo Slice a fight he should win before, and he didn't come out of it. So it's not a gimme by any means.
I'm going to say knockout in the third. Just to be different.
Yeah. This card totally relies on Cormier, Derek Lewis being exciting.
I was kind of excited for this card, but now I'm not. I'm glad I'm going to watch this at a bar and not buying this pay-per-view.
Yeah. Maybe I'll be doing the same. If they have it on at the hotel, down at the bar, I'll be doing the same.
Yeah. After that, you got UFC 231 in Toronto with Max Holloway, Brian Ortega. Supposed to happen a couple.
I'm more excited for that one, to be honest.
Mm-hmm. And then with Joanna Valentina.
With JJ coming back, and Shevchenko obviously is a beast.
I believe that's for the 125 belt, so definitely excited for that.
Well, on December 29th, UFC's ending the year with a gift.
Gift from the gods. John Jones, Alexander Gustafsson 2, Chris Cyborg, Amanda Nunes.
That one, man. I mean, I'm excited for both. That card is awesome.
Mm-hmm. As always, they usually end
Sucks that
in
the UFC's
style.
gonna get all my Christmas money, but gotta do what I gotta do.
Let's see here. We have Latifi versus Corey Anderson. Kat Zingano versus Megan Anderson. Carlos Condit versus Michael Chiesa.
Condit and Chiesa is there?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
BJ Penn versus Ryan Hall. Uriah Hall versus some newbie. That's 5-0. So
Uriah has no chin, so he's just a sacrificial lamb.
Let's talk a little more about UFC. They made history this past week with their first ever trade, getting rid of our number one fighter of all time, Demetrius Johnson, trading him for why am I drawing a blank on his name right now?
I just know he's from one.
Yeah.
I can't remember his name.
Oh man, that's gonna bug me. So we're gonna look it up. Johnson, of course, his trainer is vice president of one, so it kind of makes sense.
My only thing is, why did UFC do it? Do you think that they've gotten all they could out of DJ?
Ben Askren is the guy. And I think, yes, they got all they could out of DJ. And who's left in that division? No one's really fighting in that division. Cejudo is moving up to 135 to fight Dillashaw. I mean, I think they're honestly getting rid of the division. It makes sense. No one really cares about that division. Sad but true. So, I mean, and if this trade for DJ to one makes sense for him because one is more, it's going to, I believe, Singapore, where they respect the fighters a little more, very graceful, not as much trash talk, which DJ is not known for. So. Whoa. Well, since we're looking to stretch for a half hour, I found a way, Corey.
Perfect. I was wondering because we still have a half hour till our co-host gets here.
Yeah. Let me just pull up the phone lines.
Oh, wow, is Joe calling?
Yeah. He demanded. He didn't really give me much. He didn't ask. He said, available. Call me now. So, apparently our NCAA football coverage wasn't enough for him.
He didn't like it?
I don't know. We'll find out.
Hello.
Hey, Joe.
Hello.
How are you doing? Thanks for the surprise call.
Yeah, no, I'm doing all right. I'm kind of upset. I'm losing a little cash, but I'll get it back eventually.
Losing a little cash?
Yeah, I got a little men's rec action going on, but the second game was a forfeit.
Ah. Oh, that's never good. Maybe.
What the fuck? No, I'm out sitting in my car and there's some animal walking around. I have no idea what the fuck it is.
Oh, that's good.
Maybe it's a cat. Looks like a big cat.
Just don't hit it. You never know what kind of
Nah,
damage
man.
will be done. So we covered football already, but looking at yours and Corey's picks for next week, they are exactly the same, which means you will remain number one unless somehow, actually, you will remain number one no matter what. 'Cause let's be honest, Steffan's not gonna. No, Steffan doesn't even matter. So we've got that going for us. Steffan now in last place, 25-20. Me right ahead of him, 26-19. Corey 28-17, and then you, Joe, after impressive starts, you went 2-3 last week, losing Florida, Stanford, and South Florida, and now making you 29-16.
That shit's a bad.
Did you have any other than the Syracuse NC State game? Any good games you want to talk about?
What did I watch Saturday? No, that was about the only game I watched.
Yeah.
That Notre Dame Navy game was a blowout. That'll be a interesting game in a few weeks. Yeah, really didn't have much on my plate. Not a lot of good games out there this past week. I don't know if you guys saw, but I just recently saw that Cuse is 19th in the college football playoff rankings.
Oh, I forgot those were.
That was just released at 7 o'clock, so even higher than the media and the coaches poll. So kudos to the Cuse.
Going to the championship. You heard it here first.
So they just gotta keep it up, and I know I don't want to think too far ahead, but Cuse fans can't be upset if there's a step back or two next year. You're losing Dungy, and the offensive line's been together a while. Not quite sure who's really leaving on that, but we could take a step back. But the whole defensive line returns, so in the secondary is young, so We'll see. Let's not, because this season could turn out to be something special. And next year could be back to, maybe mediocrity. But let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. We got some great matchups coming up this weekend, especially in the Southeastern Conference: Kentucky, Georgia, Alabama, LSU. I think we'll really see what Alabama's made of coming up here, if they're actually the powerhouse they are. Tua hasn't been tested all year, and this could be a test for him, or maybe Bama's just that stacked and it's not going to matter.
What was that,
If they
Corey?
blow out LSU,
I
if they
was just
blow out
wondering if you were
LSU,
there,
they might
'cause
as
I
well
can't
just jump
hear
right to the
Joe.
pros.
All right, let me work my magic then. Joe, you mentioned the LSU Alabama matchup. What do you see being the key for Alabama not losing?
Just continue what they're doing. I think spreading the ball around, having a pretty consistent offense. Kind of equal a balance. But I mean, the passing games theirs too is just hands down a great quarterback. But I think they just got to play consistent, move the ball, spread it out a little bit, and don't turn the ball over. On defense, they just got to maybe stop the run. I don't think LSU. I mean, quarterback's good, receivers are good, but stop the running game, and I think it's going to be come down to turnovers, and defense and special teams. But I think key for Alabama is just continue doing what they're doing. For LSU, they have to create turnovers. They have to bait Tua into making mistakes. Maybe disguise some coverages, bring some blitzes, people off the edge. Show blitz, drop back in the zone, stop the run, and maybe they'll have a chance. But Bama's a tough game. Then you move over to the Kentucky-Georgia game. Winner takes home the East. Loser goes home. We'll see, is Kentucky for real and becoming a national power in football, or is it still Georgia? I think Georgia's going to, overcome that one loss, and I think they'll win that football game.
Fun stat makes me regret picking LSU this week. The number 3 team in the first CFPR, I'm going to call it, or College Football Playoff ranking of the year, has never made the college football playoff. So LSU coming in at 3, not looking good for them.
So what was
they
the
have
top
to win
5?
this
I
game.
did not see that. The 19 on Twitter. So what's the top 5?
The top 5, Alabama, obviously.
Alabama, Clemson, LSU.
We have Alabama, Clemson, LSU, and Notre Dame as your top 4, with Michigan, Georgia, Oklahoma, Washington State, Kentucky, and Ohio State rounding out your top 10.
Where's UCF?
12.
14? 12.
So,
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunate for them. I think
I'm
Syracuse
surprised by
would.
LSU being there at number 3.
What's Joe have to say about his Stanford pick?
He
But-
says, how do you feel about your sticking with Stanford last week, Joe? Corey wants to know.
Who did they play again?
Well, last week they lost to Washington State.
Yeah, no, I think I picked Stanford.
Mm-hmm. You stuck with Steffan. You
Yeah,
cursed.
I did. Yeah, I don't know what I was thinking. Because really, I wanted Stanford to lose in case Syracuse won, so that Syracuse could jump in. But I thought maybe Washington State was a little overrated. Maybe got lucky against Oregon, but Washington State's for real. They're the team of Washington, that's for sure.
They're the team of the Pac-12, the way Pac-12 has been this year.
Yeah.
Just looking, yeah, you voted them 10 this week, so obviously you made up for it in your rankings with Washington State, at least. Corey, no love for Washington State, has them at 12, and Steffan even worse at 15. What was it? Any other questions, Corey?
No, that was it. I just thought that was funny. He went with Steffan and he lost.
How come I can't hear these guys anymore like I used to be able to?
We're using a different media right now because Steffan is joining us later on, so I don't know where it's getting crossed that
Gotcha.
you're not being able to hear him.
Gotcha.
That's okay.
So,
It's all good in my hood.
yeah, this is what happens when you do it live. Issues come up, and what else we got this week? Syracuse going against Wake Forest. Who's gonna be in longer? Dungy? Is Dungy gonna play the whole game, or are we gonna see what's his face?
Quarter of DeVito again.
DeVito.
Dungy plays like he did last week. He's not coming out of the game. That was a big performance. I mean, huge comeback performance after having some struggling weeks. He was just throwing the ball in places I haven't seen him throw the ball in a few weeks. You know, money shots into receivers in tight spaces, throwing the deep ball effective. He was just nickel and diming that NC State defense. And our receivers, our slot receivers, had huge games. Sean Lowry and Akeem Johnson just came up huge for us, having just unbelievable games. So that was exciting. That was exciting to watch. It was great football. The one thing I do not like is, you know, we continue to not finish off opponents when we're stepping on their throat. We got to freaking break that throat when we have them. I think the roughing the punter was a huge penalty and it swept the momentum. I don't think you call that block punt in that situation. You're going to get the ball on the 40, 50-yard line anyway, and Dungy was playing good. So you just get off the punter, get the return, and then throw up another touchdown. So instead of 24-10, maybe you're looking at 31-3. But I think that's the key. Cuse has to just finish off teams, and that's what we haven't been able to do.
Yeah, true. I mean, Corey and I discussed it briefly. Syracuse hasn't lost by a lot, and I think that's what also helped spur them into the top 25. Is the games they lost, it was only by a couple points in Clemson, and then an overtime game to Pittsburgh, who is all over the place this year.
Yeah, yes they are.
I mean, they gave Notre Dame a run for their money. Trying to remember who else I saw. I think the only blowout game was the Penn State game. So, Joe, I do have a question for you. So we have Alabama, Clemson, LSU, and Notre Dame in our first college football playoff top four, which would mean if the playoffs started today, it would start with those four. Obviously, not likely to finish with LSU versus Alabama and Alabama versus Georgia, who's ranked 6. If you were to take 4 teams and you had to get rid of one, which one do you think's not making it, and who's going to replace them?
Out of this current top 4?
Yeah.
I think it would be, you could honestly see another, a case where LSU beats Alabama, LSU loses to Georgia in the championship, and Georgia and Alabama get in. I think probably what you'll see is, it's tough. LSU loses, they definitely could slip out. Obviously, would slip out. You could see a one-loss Notre Dame possibly slip out of that playoff spot too. Now, if I had to choose one and put one in, I think the obvious choice would be the loser of the Alabama-LSU game, so I'm going to say LSU, and the team to replace them. If Michigan runs the table and wins the Big Ten, I think Michigan's in there.
No bias aside, of course.
No, not at all. I just think looking at those other teams, and what they have going on, I think Michigan, if they run the table, Georgia wins the SEC championship game. If they get past Kentucky, could find their way in there. We know the committee is it's about what they've done. What have you done for me right now, right here? So, a lot's gonna, how those conference championships play out will determine the four that make the playoffs. So, yeah, we'll see. I don't count on Notre Dame getting in because Juice is gonna beat them in 3 weeks, 2 weeks.
Well, I think Cory and I already decided that game was going to be in our predictions, so we'll see if you hold true to that in a couple of weeks. Syracuse, Notre Dame.
10-2 and a New Year's Day bowl, New Year's 6. Let's go. You heard it first here on We Might Know Sports.
Again. What was it? You don't see the Irish having luck with the pinstripe pants?
No.
All right. Do you got anything else, Joe, you want to talk about?
No, I got to go back in and blow my whistle at a bunch of crybabies.
All right. Well, thanks for the call in, Joe. We appreciate it as always.
Yeah, I'm glad I was able to make it in.
Hopefully next week we can not have the technical difficulties.
And as of right now, I'm free, so we're good.
All right. Well, I have no idea with Steffan's schedule anymore when we are or aren't on air. So.
All right.
Well, we know next Tuesday we are.
Oh, so next Tuesday is in the clear for you. It's also in the clear for our normal time. So.
Perfect.
All right. Well,
all right.
Until next week,
Bye,
Joe.
guys.
Have a good one. All right. Nice little catch up in the NCAA with the Syracuse update, and I actually was gonna have the college football playoffs in the background, completely spaced on that. So,
who'd he pick as his team to move in?
Michigan.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
When you said no bias, I was like, oh, he picked Michigan.
How could you tell? All right.
I know Joe's 3 favorite teams.
Just like Steffan's 5 favorite NFL teams?
No, apparently it's just one now.
No Jacksonville Jaguars?
No, Jags are out. He's done with that mess.
Alright, maybe that'll help with the audio. Alright, so... Alright, we're just waiting on Steffan pretty much because I want to talk NASCAR with him.
So we can get off sports for a second. Have you been watching This Is Us?
Oh my god. Yes. I forgot about this. We have so much to catch up on.
So how are you feeling right now?
How am I feeling right now? I want to know who the heck they are foreshadowing in this thing.
Well, no, I originally thought Kate.
Mm-hmm. Well, actually, it was originally Deja, and then Kate.
Yeah.
So
I can't remember what Samantha said, but she actually said someone that made sense. It obviously wasn't Deja or Kate, and I can't remember what she said, but there is other options. I'm very curious who it is.
very.
I don't really like the Toby struggling path that they're going down.
Well, it looks like it's gonna end. It looks like
Yeah.
it was a quick one.
He's just such a happy-go-lucky character.
Yeah.
It hurts the show when he's not that.
It was nice to see why he is the way he is, though.
Yeah.
And
a little bit more of Jack, too. It's always nice to learn a little bit more of him.
So, who do you think that lady was in the picture that you saw at the end of the episode?
That was just this past week's, right?
Yeah.
I have no idea who it is.
So, here's my theory. I think, and I could be wrong with this, who knows, it's just a theory.
Mm-hmm.
I was not influenced by outside sources.
Okay.
And so, Obviously, if it was like Jack's first wife or something, I think we would have found out more about her earlier.
Yeah, same.
So I'm thinking it's his brother's wife.
Okay.
And we don't know how Jack's brothers died yet, so maybe they both died together, and that's the only thing he had to remember them by. Maybe they get ambushed or something. The town does.
Yeah.
It's my new strategy, theory, whatever you want to call it.
That's possible. I mean, we know it isn't a sister or anything, so I don't know who it is.
Yeah.
Could be a wife.
Could be. I mean, what else happened? I'm trying to think. I think that was the major points
Those
so
were
far.
the major things. It's only been a couple weeks since we last talked about it. It's about all that's happened.
Yeah.
Have you been watching any other shows? Like, Samantha and I, not live, but we've been catching up on New Amsterdam.
Haven't watched that yet.
It's pretty good. It's based on a book which I just bought to get me through my trip on the plane.
When's that trip? Next week?
We leave this Thursday.
All right. So we won't be getting Joe on the air.
So next Tuesday, we said we'd do the podcast, but we'll try to do it sometime before 4:00 if that works.
Yeah. So we won't be getting Joe on the air.
Right. It'll be on your and my time.
Yeah.
Basically, like if we want to do it at noon, then Steffan can hop on at 3 or whatever.
Yeah. All right.
That's next episode's a big episode because we're going to be talking about college basketball
And our top 25 and all that
and
fun stuff.
Yeah, all that. Because November 6th, the season starts, correct?
Yes. Tuesday.
I'm ready.
Mm-hmm. I know you're all over Zion's D.
Yep. His offense is good too, but
and what was it? We talked briefly about Arizona not getting any recruits,
yeah.
and coming out of the trial, it looks like Creighton's coming under fire soon too, which is kind of interesting.
I know we're gonna do our own top 25. Did you see the coaches poll or the AP poll?
We talked about the AP poll last week. I have not seen the coaches poll. Let me pull that up right now. That way you can get my live initial response. I clicked on it and then it sent me to a Facebook share thing. So hold on. In case you were wondering, it's 48-48 Atlanta Cleveland.
Okay.
The Raptors are up 3 over the Sixers right now.
That was big news I wanted to talk about too when Steffan gets here.
All right.
Cleveland. All Cleveland franchises losing their coaches.
All of them losing.
Yeah.
Kansas, Kentucky, Duke, and then Gonzaga. I like that. I appreciate that one more. North Carolina's 7 in this one.
Yeah, not too much of a difference.
Syracuse is 14.
Right. That instead of 16.
Washington 24. Nebraska somehow is in it. TCU, UCLA flipped. Clemson's not as high.
I really just thought you might like that they gave Syracuse a little more love, but I do think that's because of Jim Boeheim being a little more beloved by his peers.
Yeah, less by the press.
Yes.
I mean, we've discussed it, and Steffan kind of briefly talked about it, how he was shocked that we didn't really care about the Gonzaga. I don't really pay attention to these early polls because you really don't know what to expect.
We've seen Kentucky ranked number 1 and then drop out of the top 25 before, so.
A la last year. I'm trying to notice a huge difference. There isn't really a huge difference. I mean, Nevada is 7 in the AP and 9 in the coaches.
To me, what's surprising is Virginia getting a lot of love. And Virginia Tech getting a lot of love.
Virginia Tech was the shocker, I think. I mean, 15 in the AP, 17 in the coaches. Like, am I missing something? Did they get someone that we're not knowledgeable about? Like,
They got some players, but I think people are more excited about what they have coming back.
let's just take a gander at the old Hokie schedule here. They got Weber, I believe. That's what that is. Ball State. Stephen F. University. Penn State. I think that's... I don't even know what that one is. CCSU. Let's find out. Click on that. Central Connecticut. That's what that is. VMI. South Carolina State.
Hey, Brewer.
I think he's got to go outside. Washington, NC-A&T, UM. I mean, they have no one on their schedule other than Washington, so that's going to be interesting.
Until ACC play.
Yeah. Let's see here. Other than that, well, with Halloween and seeing how we didn't actually do a bracket, let's talk about our favorite candies.
All right.
What ones are you looking to steal from your daughters? I mean, make sure they're not poisoned, of course.
Yeah, are we going to start with my number 5?
Sure.
Number 5 is a Butterfinger. I'm a big fan. I like the crunch.
Accept that.
I like the flavor. Butterfinger. Number 5. And my kids won't eat those, so they're all mine.
I'm gonna...
What about you?
Number 5 for me, and this is kind of weird, but I enjoy a good Twizzler. Strawberry flavored. Not that licorice shit. Get that out of here. That's gross. I like a Twizzler. Those little packs actually have some.
Yeah, normally you can get a few of those. They come in those party packs.
Mm-hmm. I think we discussed it last year. Shay picked up some candy, and it has Milk Duds, and I believe that was like one of my, worst, least liked ones, other than the apples, I think.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of Milk Duds either.
Yeah. So, but the Twizzlers, they were in there. So, guess what? Those aren't being passed out.
Number 4 for me is the purple package Skittles, tropical Skittles. Got to be the purple. I don't like the regular flavors besides red and basically red. That's it.
I'm looking up before I give you my candy my next candy because I want to make sure I'm not leaving anything out. Ooh, all right. So, number 4 for me would be Sour Patch Kids. Like the little packs.
Yep.
The face you get too. That's always fun.
Well, we're on the same wavelength because that goes right into my number 3, which is Sour Patch Kids.
Whoa.
I like fruity candy, so spoiler alert, Butter's my.
All right, so my number 3, sorry, is gonna be peanut M&Ms. Not a big fruity. I don't like the sweetness unless it's like a Jolly Rancher or something.
Right. Number 2 is Gummy Lifesavers for me. You don't get them a lot, but they're
No, those are like gold.
Yeah.
They did not make my list, but I remember getting those and like saving those for last just because I know it's like the only time of year I ever get them.
Yeah, I love Gummy Lifesavers.
Number 2 for me is the Twix. Left, right, I don't care. I'm not biased. I'll eat them both.
They're both the same to you?
Mm-hmm. I'll eat them both at the same time, too.
Oh, jeez. You're an animal. Number 1 for me, not a very popular opinion at all. But they're still around, so there has to be someone else like me that likes these out there.
So this is not candy corn.
Dots.
Dots.
People
Wow.
don't like that they stick to your teeth. But I told you I love the fruity candy.
Mm-hmm.
They're like the originator.
Those are so gummy. Oh, jeez.
Yeah, I love dots.
I like them once in a while, and then it's like I eat it, and then it's like, oh, why did I do this? Now I gotta go brush my teeth.
Gummy Lifesavers are a close second. I almost put them number 1, but Dots they're the original.
Number 1 for me. Apparently number 4 on this website. I've got to go with the good old Snicker bar. Usually because I'd get the full size on Halloween.
I can't believe Snickers isn't number 1. I figured that'd be number 1 on most people's lists. Like on that site you're talking about.
Yeah. You want to know what number 1 is?
Sure.
Another fan favorite. Not mine, though. Not my number 1. Reese's Peanut Butter Cups.
Oh, yeah.
Twix is actually surprisingly number 3. And Kit Kat is number 2. With M&M's coming in at 5. Regular, original M&M's.
All pretty classic candies.
Your
I do like Reese's
Butterfinger
Peanut
bar
Butter
came in
Cups.
at 12. Sour Patch came in at 14. Skittles came in at 16. What was your other one?
Gummy Lifesavers and Dots.
I don't see. There's Gummy Bears at 9. Skittles, we already said that. Lifesavers 22. They look like the gummy ones too, so we'll go with it.
Yeah, we'll take it. Dots isn't in the top 50 probably.
Let's see here. Sour Skittles at 32.
Ooh. Did you like remember when we were in middle school Warheads were really popular?
Oh, I love those. I'm a huge fan of the sour. Still looking for Dots. We're at 60.
I was a fan of the Airheads too, honestly.
Lemon Heads, that's a good one. 61.
Lemon Heads.
Dum Dums, Candy Cane, Ring Pop, Whoppers. Gross. Get them out of here.
Ugh. I don't like candy canes.
No?
No. I don't like peppermint or whatever you want to call that flavor.
Spearmintish, kind of.
Yeah.
Now we're just getting ridiculous. Chocolate chip cookies somehow made this list.
Apples will be on there soon. Pretzels.
Tropical Skittles in at 90. Chocolate chips at 94. You know, this one I think has gone way of the years. Reese's Fast Break.
Oh, yeah. A
Those
lot
were-
of people like the nougat.
Yeah. Well,
I think,
your dots didn't make the top 100, but somehow Raisinets come in at 100.
Huh.
Unless I overlooked it.
I assume some of the classics you probably skipped over that were higher up, like Three Musketeers, Milky Way, Baby Ruth.
Warheads are 74.
Ooh, wow.
Gushers, somehow a candy, in at 59.
I do like Gushers, though.
Let's see here. Almond Joy, 52. Get that out of here. I don't like coconut. Tootsie Pop. You get a lot of those on Halloween. 48.
Not a fan. I'm not a fan of Tootsie Rolls either.
Laffy Taffy, 41. Baby Ruth at 40. Hershey Bar with almonds in at 38. That's always a good one.
Yeah, I do like them.
Junior Mints, 34. I think I may have said that already. Milk
don't like
Duds, gross, 33.
There you go. There's your fave.
That's at 33. York Peppermint Patty, another one you usually get. That one's in at 25. Nerds, always fun. 21. I'd always eat it like individually too.
Yeah, I know.
Skittles 16, Jolly Rancher 15, Crunch Bar in at 13. Milky Way was 11. Hershey Kiss in at 10. The regular Hershey Bar is number 6. So interesting.
There's some of your classics.
All right. I don't know how much more we can stretch before.
I know, Steffan. Come on, where are you? I don't even hear him. I don't even think he's pulled in yet.
Jeez. Let's go to the NFL. Let's do our takeaways.
Okay.
I'll let you do your takeaways, and I'll let Brewer go outside so he can stop crying.
All right. Let me get to him. My takeaways. My first takeaway is I believe the Seattle Seahawks have righted the ship. I know Kevin and I were much higher on them than Steffan this year. They are now 4-3. Russell Wilson is playing well, particularly this week. He only threw 17 passes, but got 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, no sacks. They've won 4 of their last 5 games. Their losses, none of them are by more than 7 points. They lost by 7, by 3, by 2. I think they're legit. They do have a tougher schedule coming up, but I expect the Seahawks to get going here. Number 2, kind of a simple, self-explanatory one. The Giants, the Oakland Raiders, the Arizona Cardinals, and the Alabama Crimson Tide should all have a playoff. The Giants, the Raiders, and the Cardinals are just so bad. I can't even tell you who the worst team in the NFL is. The Giants are probably have the most talent of the bunch and look to just be choking on purpose to try to get the first pick. The sad thing is I think the Raiders and the Cardinals are really trying, and they suck. Moving on from them, someone else that sucks. Takeaway number 3.
Corey's they suck of the week.
Yeah. Cleveland in disarray after looking promising at the beginning of the year. At one point, I think they were 2-1.
Mm-hmm. 5
they've lost
overtimes already this year.
Yeah, and they've been losing ever since that marker. Then they fire their head coach and their offensive coordinator. I don't really know if that's what's wrong with them. Could be. I guess you might as well get Baker Mayfield an offensive mind to try to help him out and develop him. But Cleveland in disarray is takeaway number 3. What else is new?
You know, it's kind of interesting. I was listening to some people talk about the situation this week, and it kind of makes sense. You don't want to get the locker room too disarray. Better to get, I mean, you can't go 3-36-1 and expect to have a job for much longer.
Right.
I can't remember what his win percentage that comes out to be, but
I think it was the second lowest all time, like with a certain amount of games played.
yeah. And in order for Bill Belichick to have the same losing or winning percentage, basically, he would have to lose the next 56 years going 0-16.
Oh my gosh.
So, I mean, to say he was the right coach for the job, should they have gotten rid of him? I think it was fair for him to have at least a shot with the team they have now. But now that they've seen, I don't blame Cleveland, because Cleveland was rebuilding the first 2 years, and then they hire this new GM. They give him something at least this year, and you only come away with 2 wins.
My big problem is Hugh Jackson was the offensive coordinator under Marvin Lewis for the Cincinnati Bengals, and during his tenure there, the Bengals offense was really thriving and playing at a really high level. So I was under the impression, well, I can, not to jump straight to that, even before that, Hugh Jackson was the head coach of the Raiders, Oakland Raiders, and they went 8-8. And they weren't very good. That's back when they were having a lot of problems. And Hugh Jackson was able to even get them to 500. Then when he came to us, to the Bengals, and was an offensive coordinator and everything was working there, when he left, I was really disappointed. The offense went down. Obviously, the Bengals haven't had a good offense until this year, since Hugh left. So for the last 3 years, they took them 3 years to rebuild and get where they need to be. It's really surprising to me that Cleveland struggles on offense, because Hugh Jackson is an offensive mind. So I don't know. I know that him and Todd Haley were supposedly having issues with each other. So I found it interesting that you fired both.
Yeah.
I would have at least maybe moved Hugh Jackson to offensive coordinator and got a new head coach, fired Todd Haley. I'm surprised they went in the direction they went. Hugh Jackson's going to be out there, and someone's going to have a really good offensive coordinator, in my opinion, available to them. The Titans could use him, for example.
Mm-hmm. It's going to be interesting to see what happens this week. I forgot who they're playing already. But we'll see. I mean,
did you see the stat, too? After the second game against the Steelers, the last 3 head coaches for Cleveland have been fired.
No.
So something about losing to the Steelers twice doesn't sit well with Cleveland ownership.
Yeah. Interesting decision when... I know you're not a fan of firing a coach mid-season, but... I mean, it makes sense if that's where they feel they're not even going to keep him at the end of the year. Why risk the chance of having a mediocre season and being like, well, they went 6-10. Maybe give them one more year if you want to get your own guy in there. Because I know the GM's new this year, so.
Yeah, and I'm curious, when they fired Todd Haley, too, who the heck is taking the team over?
Greg Williams is the interim head coach for the rest of the year.
Okay.
So there's going to be
interesting.
There's going to be at least some discipline.
I'm going to say that team is going to be awfully fiery because
Yeah.
he's got that personality and that attitude.
Mm-hmm. So whether or not he continues to be a head coach, let's see how they do the rest of the year. Do you think they give it to him if they somehow manage to go 8-8?
Greg Williams?
Yeah.
Probably.
I mean,
give it to him.
I would. Why not? If you can make that bunch.
Our co-host just came in, but I told him we might have to take an interlude and switch laptops because I have no video of you, so it's just kind of weird staring at a black screen. And it's not your fault. I know it's the iPad, so I'd want to switch.
All right.
Yeah, if he goes 8-8, I guess it'd be deserving. I think he's a good coach to get players motivated. I just don't know what kind of head coach he'll be, and now I'm worried as a fantasy player because I have some of their defensive players. Is their defense going to suck now because he's not in control of it?
Yeah. I mean, it's still going to be the fiery bunch, and depends on who takes over. I didn't read too much into it about the offensive coordinator and stuff, so who knows?
I think Baker Mayfield does have talent. So, I mean, if they get the right guy, I think you could make that team work.
Yeah.
Want to do your takeaways while we wait for Steffan?
Yeah, sure. So my first takeaway, it's not that funny of one, even though it begins with ha-ha. Clinton Dix is no longer a Packer, cut from the team today, along with another teammate. I forgot who already.
Clinton Dix, is he from Alabama?
Yes.
Yeah, he never really lived up to the hype of what he was supposed to be.
I think he had like one good season.
Yeah, he did, because I drafted him in fantasy right after that. He sucked.
Yeah. So that was a disappointment. Who else? Someone else got cut that was major.
On them? They cut Montgomery?
Yeah.
He deserves to be. Yeah.
That was Montgomery.
They traded Montgomery. Our NFL expert is saying.
Oh, apparently Clinton Dix got traded to the Redskins too.
Yep.
There we go.
All right, Kevin, we're going to, not to cut you off, we'll take a brief interlude and switch over.
Rude.
Okay?
Hold on. I gotta be able to accept his phone call.
He wants to accept your phone call.
Oh, wow. I'm not calling. Oh, he wants to us.
Got him
We're
all
doing
confused.
Skype or Hangouts?
Skype. Don't look at his password, Corey. Come on, jeez.
I'm just enamored by the gay porn.
Steffan wasn't here to hear that open.
What? What did you say?
You're gonna have to listen to the
The
open. This is what we do before we go live, folks. Let me find my commercial music. Nope. You've got mail. Alright, we'll be back in a minute, folks.
Did you cut the live yet, Kevin?
No.
No.
It's not playing.
Good intermittent music. Just make this. Kevin.
Might be cool.
All right, so we're gonna come back now because I can't hear you and I don't feel like messing with the settings. So now we switched one host for another, apparently. Welcome, Steffan, to this very spooky episode of We Might Know Sports.
Spooky.
Apparently,
Can't hear me?
I can hear you.
I said you couldn't hear me.
I couldn't hear you because I had a very complicated short way of saying basically I had the different audio. But I did. So I
Shit,
made
I can see.
you can see me now. I did include you on my board today. True
did
quote. I quoted you from Sunday.
Yeah. Still
Dis-
disgusted.
Disgusted with
I
myself.
quoted him.
You got me back.
Kevin's finally jumped on your bandwagon. Hating kickers.
Unknowingly.
Mhm.
Yep.
You're here.
You'll be there soon.
I'll never be there.
Oh, you'll always be.
I'll never be there. I love kickers. It's my favorite position.
So we went over Corey's takeaways. We're now on mine. I already covered the haha Clinton Dix.
Haha.
And we're moving on to Tampa Bay and their disappointing result in Cincinnati after coming back from down 18. Thankfully, Corey didn't pay attention and took me up on my bet that I proposed right at kickoff. So appreciate
Shit,
that,
he-
Corey.
I was working.
Fitzpatrick came in, led them to a stirring comeback, at least for a little bit. And then Winston benched after 4 interceptions. I tweeted out that fun little information that he has more turnovers than anyone else except Blake Bortles in the same time period. So there's that.
It's a good stat to have.
Yeah. You guys mentioned how Winston should be...
You and me.
You guys mentioned how Winston needed more time to see what they had. I was already on the fence, and now after 4 games, I'm like, yeah, it's time to move on from Winston. And at this point, it's Cutter trying to save his job, who coincidentally got his job to work with Winston. So
Here's a
scenario.
question. Since they came in at the same draft,
Mhm.
who's proving to be the bigger bust, Mariota or Winston?
I think Winston, because he was number 1 overall. At least Titans took Mariota at 3.
And at least they went to the playoffs once.
Yeah. And he doesn't turn
And
the ball
won a game,
over.
I guess, actually.
He doesn't turn the ball over a lot either.
No, but he's always hurt. He's
Yeah.
worth nothing if he can't play.
True.
Who's always there?
Mariota.
Yeah. It's true.
It's very, very factual.
Sorry, I just got a glimpse of the Sixers score. Not good. Not good. All right. Speaking of not good, my third and final takeaway, which is becoming the running segment. Cory mentioned it briefly. Oakland continuing their losing streak. Had me a little nervous, though, in the first half. It was a close game.
Yeah, well, the Colts aren't too far ahead of them.
Uh-huh. Needless to say, after being up 1 at halftime, the Raiders lost 42-28.
I'm going to be honest. I think there's still a legit chance that
they're
we get to 8-8.
No way. They are not going 6-2.
I think
that there's a very real chance.
I think we've gone over their schedule before, but their next opponent is the 49ers.
Oh,
of San
right there.
Francisco.
There it goes.
Yeah, you're a
That's
believer.
the start.
Mhm.
That's the start right there.
3-point favored in that game is the 49ers. And then they play the Chargers.
49ers just lost to the fucking Cardinals, okay?
On the road, though. They're going home.
To the Cardinals.
Yeah, and you were laughing at me that I took the Cardinals again.
Yeah, because I don't even know how the fuck they won. All of a sudden I look and they won. And, so annoyed with that.
They got the Chargers, and then they play the Cardinals again.
They weren't really affected.
They have the Ravens, Chiefs, Steelers,
All very winnable.
Bengals.
Very winnable.
The Chiefs was winnable?
The Bengals.
Who'd the Raiders get? Tom Brady? Did Tom Brady get traded?
It was a sign and trade.
Sign and trade? Okay.
They also end their season against the Chiefs, too, so there's a 2 for
So there's those 2 losses. So the other 6 they're gonna win.
Yeah. That's all they got to do is win 6. So, all right. Actually, they need to win. Oh, yeah.
No, they need to win 7. You're right.
Yeah. So they need to go 7-2.
7-2.
Also, apparently, the Raiders are turning into the Buffalo Bills. At least this wasn't done mid-game.
The Raiders put up points. I don't know what you were looking at right here. Buffalo
I'm
has
looking.
had how many possessions in a row where they've not been able to score a touchdown now?
Can I finish this one?
And throwing a pick 6 doesn't count as a
Look
touchdown.
how hot and tested this podcast got in like the last 3 minutes.
I always bring the energy.
Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie retiring today from the Raiders.
Who retired?
Dominic Rodgers-Cromartie. I didn't even know he still played.
Yeah, why was he still playing?
Surprised
He was
isn't-
awful with the Eagles.
I thought he
when
was
played
collecting
there.
Social Security somewhere.
Is Mike Holmgren the Raiders GM?
Could be.
Might be.
He was spotted at practice today for the Raiders.
Might just be trying out for the team. At this point. I think it's open tryouts.
Maybe he's looking at the head coaching position.
No other news coming out of the Raiders camp today.
Or maybe he's thinking about coaching again if he figures you can put a product this bad on the field and still get paid
$100 million.
a year.
Fuck it.
Fuck it, I can do this.
Cleveland signed me up.
Is this game on TV right now?
I don't know if it's on TV.
Yeah,
What's
I
going
don't-
on right now?
I don't think it's on TV.
What, the Sixers
Sorry.
game?
No, the
No.
Boston Celtics game. Kind of got sidetracked for a second.
Yeah, let's stick to the NFL right now.
All right.
Which leads us to your
Okay.
takeaways, Stefan.
To my takeaways, which I am completely prepared for.
Yeah, your number one we already know is going to be the news that broke today.
Well, before the news even broke, I don't know why
The Golden News?
yeah.
Oh.
Why Cory failed to mention this with his teams that are righting the ship. The Eagles have righted the ship against the Jacksonville Jaguars,
Did they?
who are just sinking into oblivion right now.
I just feel, I don't know if they righted the ship, but they missed the iceberg right now.
they-
The Jaguars just crashed right into it.
The Eagles have righted the ship.
To be fair,
All is well in Philly again.
really? You feel good about that game?
Listen, it's always sunny there. We're good to
That's
go.
true.
Ugh.
We're good. Oh, It was a little shaky in the beginning, but they righted the ship.
Did you watch the end?
I watched the end. In between playing Black Ops. I was watching on my phone.
The Jags actually had a chance of.
I was watching, Kevin. I know they had a chance. I was not impressed, okay? But they got the win.
He's just blaming London.
That's what matters.
And now you got to buy.
And now we're on a bye.
To play the Cowboys Sunday night.
A little bit.
Big trade. Golden Tate, #1 receiver of the Lions.
Yeah.
Now, complimenting Alshon Jeffrey. That's a big pickup.
Think? I know. I think Alshon's going to be like a red zone target now. Golden Tate gets separation quite a bit.
Yeah, no.
If he gets open like that, and you got a quarterback,
but it's not like I don't think Alshon Jeffrey's not going to like.
No, I don't think he's going to disappear or anything.
Right.
I'm just saying
he's not going to be the main focus.
I could see Golden Tate becoming the #1 there. Is what I'm saying. He's that good.
Oh, I mean, absolutely. I used to always be a non-believer in Golden Tate, and every year he would just put up numbers and just prove me a liar. And I was just like, "Fuck, I should draft him one year," and I still never did.
So you just like looking from afar.
Now that he's with the Eagles, I'm gonna have to draft him next year for sure.
You can always trade him.
Could trade him. Since somebody seems to think he went from a bad quarterback to a worse quarterback, but
I'm done with it. I'm not gonna. I kept my mouth shut. I'm not saying a word.
Notice you didn't have a comment on that.
No comment. No comment the rest of the way.
No comment the rest of the way.
I had my piece.
I think it's I mean, I don't think that was definitely not their the area they needed to improve on the most. It's gonna help out the offense, I think, either way.
I think it is interesting when you needed a run game.
I mean, the run game
off of Golden Tate.
The run game's not like as bad as everybody like. They don't have a big name. No, but like the guys are getting the job.
I told you before. I think Corey Clement actually could be a name.
Yeah,
he has talent.
Smallwood's playing okay. That other guy, whatever the fuck his name is, Adams. I don't even know who he is.
I don't know who he is.
He had like 8 touches for like 60 yards or something like that.
Yeah, I know. Because what defense prepared for some guy that's off the practice squad?
I would have.
You're right. They should know better.
If you're supposedly as good of a defense as Jacksonville is, which they just don't have anything good now.
They let your favorite team, Dallas, put up 40.
Yeah, they don't have anything. They have nothing good going for them anymore. No offense, no defense, nothing.
You're off the Jags bandwagon.
I'm way off it. I jumped off that. I
tucked, rolled,
crawled.
Oh, because from the jump off.
Twisted my ankle. Twisted my ankle, so I had to crawl the rest of the way. But yeah, no, I think Eagles are gonna come back from the bye and go on a little bit of a win streak here. Be right back on track.
Who do you got after the bye?
Just got to beat the Redskins twice and bring them back to earth and be right back on top of the division.
Have you even played Dallas yet either?
We haven't. We've only played the Giants. Dallas is the weekend of your birthday.
Dallas is also their first game.
Back from the bye? Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
Sunday night.
Is Dallas calling into Philly on that weekend?
Yeah. But I work Monday, and it's a Sunday night game.
I think your mom squashed the trip unless someone can watch the dogs.
Oh.
But that would have been one hell of a game.
Yeah. I know. But my other takeaway.
Is this number 2 or 3?
This is 2. This is 1.5 going into 2.
We just needed Steffan to stretch a half hour. You're struggling to stretch
that. I mean, I feel like the Rams are beatable. I mean,
I do too.
They my pick almost came true. you guys on notice there for a little bit, but
You made my balls sweat.
and Ty Montgomery just had to fuck it all up.
Yeah.
Then everybody hated him, and he got traded away.
Where is he now?
He got traded to the Ravens. So,
Is it going to go crazy on the waiver wire this week in fantasy?
I can already tell you what I'm doing, because the only person in front of me is Gary, and Gary's not
You're
listening.
taking Ryan Fitzpatrick.
First off, I'm playing against Mark, who's going to be trying to pick him up, and I'm pretty much picking him up to play defense. And actually, I might play him this week
Derek Anderson is hurt and not playing.
because Wentz is out, so I have Flacco or Fitzpatrick.
Derek Anderson is hurt and not playing, and Andy Dalton is on a bye. That's Dave's other two quarterbacks, so I guess I got to go pick up Peterman. Make sure you kick. I'm nervous.
Honestly, he's probably better off not
playing Nathan
Peterman.
Peterman.
He's probably better off just playing nobody in that spot than playing
Just
Nathan
taking the
Peterman.
zero.
Not risk the negative points.
Talking about Buffalo, though.
Number 3.
Number 3,
What was number 2 again?
the Rams are beatable.
Rams are beatable.
Buffalo is extremely beatable at all times. Their defense is a good defense.
Is it?
It
I know
is.
you went out for the game, right?
I didn't go out.
You didn't?
No,
No.
they ended up going to Chili's, and I didn't want to go to Chili's.
No baby back ribs for you.
They want to go out to Clay, and I'm not trying to go out to Clay when I had to work the next morning.
F that noise.
So, unfortunately, their offense is
Borderline atrocious.
no, it's atrocious.
It's
Yeah,
atrocious.
It's atrocious.
I was gonna say,
It's crossed-
what's not?
It's crossed
atrocious?
line. It is atrocious.
It's all the way in.
It's all the way in. They did come out with a little bit of excitement, though, doing a lot of wildcat formations, trick plays in the beginning. Really got the crowd going. Obviously, none of it resulted in anything good. They still only put up 6 points, but I mean, the Patriots only put up 9 points through probably I think it was almost in the fourth quarter before they scored a touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
I heard the crowd. We want Bama. We want Bama.
Probably. It's the only team I don't even think they could beat Bama at this point. So, but I don't know. There's coming from my
Humble beginnings.
no
Oh, way off.
coming from my diehard Bills fans that I love dearly. Can't stand listening to them talk about the Bills. They just need to get through this year and
Take the record off.
get some weapons for Josh Allen next year, and I think get some more offensive linemen or something. I don't know.
Look, my favorite lullaby song. I hear this shit every day, every night,
But
every year.
but as soon as they add something to Josh Allen's arsenal to have to throw to, I guess they'll be great.
They're the same fans that would tell you Smallwood's a bum, and once they got him, he's a superstar.
Yeah. Well, they always told me that
Jordan
Sean
Matthews.
McCoy was a bum,
Oh.
and then he was not when he went there.
Imagine that.
Mm-hmm. Oh, but then they were just joking. No, fuck you. You weren't joking. Call my players a bum. But yeah, no, Buffalo. I mean, I thought Cardinals were pretty god awful offensively, but I think Buffalo's got to be the worst offensive
Well,
team.
Cardinals have 2 wins, so Buffalo has 2
Buffalo
wins.
has 2 wins.
They beat the Vikings too, a more impressive one.
Exactly. How? Yeah,
That's
that's
that great defense.
my takeaways.
Hey, speaking of the Vikings, they were in our pick'em this
Where?
past week.
So, Segway champ.
Wow, what a guy.
Unfortunately for Steffan and myself, I'm now up to 2 shots I have to do because of this.
2. Stefan's
Oh, you
on.
went 5-0. I didn't.
Yeah, Stefan's on 1,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm
up
on 1.
to 2.
So we're
and-
doing shots together.
Do we just cancel them out, or we just?
No, we're taking shots.
Oh, we're
No,
taking the shots.
taking shots. After the Raiders bet, you guys are definitely taking shots.
That's why we're waiting until the end of the year, so I might as well take 13 shots one episode and get it over with.
Yeah.
Maybe make it down these stairs, maybe die.
Good 100th
I don't want to be
episode.
alive anymore.
Why? Because
So-
I won 5 and
Corey went 5-0. I went 4-1. Steffan going
It's a
2
bad
and 3.
week for me. Pick'ems in general.
Pick'ems.
It was a strong week for me.
This is just a bad. The only good thing that came out of this week was my
Eagles
fantasy
win.
football team showed up.
And an Eagles win.
And the Eagles win.
That was Karen. I mean, we already knew that was coming.
Let's see here. Bengals we all went with. Eagles we all went with. Corey with the Panthers pick. That's what did me under. I went with the Ravens because of
That was stupid.
the mascot thing.
Against the Panthers again.
Rams Packers.
On an honest note, I'm not going to talk about Cam Newton being better than anybody, but with Orf Turner as his offensive coordinator, their offense looks better.
He played really well against the league's #1 defense, so that's the league's #1 defense, and
Well, last week when he played the Eagles, Cam Newton won Offensive Player of the Week, and I won't be surprised if he won it again.
No, I don't think he won it again.
You don't think he'll?
Didn't Deshaun Watson throw 5 touchdowns?
Oh, you're right. He'll get it.
I think
They
that
play,
beats
though.
out the.
Was it anyone worth anything? I
They
guess
played-
it doesn't matter at that point if you threw 5 touchdowns.
No, it doesn't matter.
I feel like they beat Miami.
Yeah, it was.
It was Miami.
It was trash. Miami's trash.
Kevin loved
Yeah.
Miami.
Mhm.
Kevin.
Packers Rams. That was a close one. So it was
This should have
50-50
gone
shot
the other way.
for Steffan.
If
Fortunately,
fucking Montgomery would just have downed that ball, first off, he'd still be on the team. Second off, Aaron Rodgers would have let him down, field goal range. Mason Crosby sealed the deal.
Mason Crosby, the guy who missed 5 field goals.
But
in the
then
game.
the next week had a game winner and won it. So guess who's got his confidence back? Mason Crosby. He's good. Justin Tucker missed extra points, so
Not this week.
everybody has a bad game, okay?
let's see here. Saints, Vikings.
What about Gurley not going for the touchdown and not covering the spread for Vegas?
I didn't even see that.
He said, quote, I don't play for fantasy owners or Vegas
Mhm.
after the game.
Damn. I like it.
Saints Vikings. Nobody's surprised except Steffan.
Listen, sometimes you got to make picks that don't make sense.
Welcome to my week this week.
Sometimes you get burned by those picks.
Oh, you mean like me picking Arizona over the Niners and it just happening to work?
Yeah, that was bullshit. You're up, what, 2 on me? 3 on me now?
I don't know. I'm so far ahead. I don't know where
You're
you're at.
not that far ahead.
In podcast land, you are 5 up on Steffan.
In real land.
Yeah, I didn't even need to make picks this week.
I'm just shooting for.
You had 5-0 or tied. Big deal.
You would not be happy about being tied. We're not both getting trophies. I mean, nobody gets the trophy if we tie.
No, fuck that. I'm picking.
I'm trying to gain as much ground as possible. So.
Kevin, we know what you're trying to do.
Did he go oh, no, he did go Niners. Did he go opposite both of us all the way down?
Well, I couldn't otherwise.
Yeah.
The last 2 games I couldn't at least.
Yeah.
So we got Bucks Panthers. I think Fitzmagic is real. And the
You
Panthers.
said that before. Is that what
And-
happened?
And the Panthers are due for a bad game. So
But let's touch base on this. Fitzmagic is real again.
what about it?
Like, what happened when he just looked god awful for 2 games?
You
And
know,
I did warn you.
There was
both that
pressure.
The Bengals defense is super suspect. But not suspect enough to make Winston look like a college player still.
Winston's gone after this year, right?
They have until March.
Like, gone off the Bucks.
Yeah, they'll buck them off.
If they cut him by March, they don't have to pay him. So. But
Right,
I
makes
believe if Cutter's gone, then he's gone. So, more than likely he's gone. Rams Saints.
Should be a good game.
Shocker. Corey said the Rams were going undefeated, yet went against him.
Went against them. I was
You did
surprised
say
by
it
this
was
pick.
the one game
I did.
that you said they could trip up on.
And then I kind of liked how the Saints beat the Vikings and how the Rams struggled with the Packers.
You know what my mindset was with this?
I don't know.
With the Saints and Vikings, Ravens, Panthers. I was like, wow, Ravens really hung with the Saints the week before. Ravens are pretty good. Because Saints are pretty good. But then at the same time, I was like, Saints aren't that good because Ravens aren't as really good as the Saints. It's a weird, twisted way that my mind works.
Yeah, I'm not quite following.
So
I got
thought the
lost.
Ravens were good because they hung with the Saints, but I thought the
Right.
Saints were bad because they struggled with the
The
Ravens.
Ravens.
So that's why I took the Ravens over the Panthers
And why you took the Vikings over the
and
Saints.
the Vikings over the Saints.
Just remember
Weird ideology.
Neither of them worked.
Apparently you were way off.
Just
So
remember
I-
the Saints are the same team that lost to the Buccaneers week 1.
You know,
Well, that's when Fitzmagic was real.
Yeah,
Pulled the
but
rabbit out the hat, and then everyone figured out how to do the trick, and it was over.
it was also because the Saints defense didn't show up too. That kind of
I don't really either.
magic freaks me out.
Real. Have you seen David Blaine? We talked about this.
We're not getting into David Blaine again. Not doing it. Not going down that road.
I will say my title on YouTube got us 6 views.
Nice. The David Blaine one?
No, the Newton's better than Wentz.
Oh, shit. Nice.
Jesus.
Texans Broncos.
This is interesting because
Texans are red hot right now.
Broncos just traded Demaryius Thomas to the Texans.
Yeah.
Kind of weird.
Talk about bad timing award.
Broncos no.
Trade a player to the team that you're going up against that week.
It's their
I mean,
clause where he
I'm
can't
sure
play.
Demaryius Thomas won't play a ton, but I'm sure he's going to be out there.
At first, I was kind of pumped when Fuller went down. I was like, yes, Hopkins is going to get all the targets.
Dude, I
And then
thought Kookie or that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought he was going to.
then when they traded for Thomas, I was like, shit, it's going to be 50-50 split because Thomas still looks really good.
Not good.
Texans defense is real. Case Keenum sucks. This is an easy game.
Yeah.
Kevin's just taking a flyer on a chance.
Mm-hmm.
Just a wing and a prayer at this point.
Yep.
It's a home game for the Broncos. That's
Right.
my reasoning.
It's good reasoning.
And I need to catch up in the standings.
Then we got the game of the week. Raiders at 49er. Two goddamn
I think it's a Thursday game,
powerhouses.
too, to make everything worse.
It actually is, yeah.
Yeah.
God.
I believe it is, and yeah.
You guys will know your fate even quicker.
I'm actually off Thursday.
Oh, want to go out? Celebrate? We can.
I'll be
I'll be in
gone.
Arizona.
Yeah,
Start
you'll
doing
be-
your shots.
You'll be gone.
In spirit.
No, you won't. You picked the 49ers anyways. You don't have faith in our Raiders.
I don't anymore. You,
I think I picked the Raiders every time
you do. You love them. They're your new AFC team.
they're not. We actually haven't done that many Raiders games. We did one.
Can
I
you
did
blame
pick
us? I picked
Oh, no,
them.
we did
I
too.
picked them up there.
Oh, I picked them then too. Against the Browns.
Oh, we both did.
They beat the Browns. That was a good one. That was, that was the
You
one
picked
game
them
they
against the
won.
Rams, too.
But then we must have done another one, and you went that way. 'Cause look
Yeah,
at
week 1.
We both took them to beat the Rams. Fuck
That's
were
when,
we
that's when
thinking?
we thought they were real, though. To our
Oh my
credit.
gosh. That's embarrassing. Let's not go back and look at that again. I'm gonna actually change that. I'm just gonna.
I went from
do a
picking,
little editing because I
I
don't
went
want
from
to.
picking the Raiders to beat the Rams to pretty confident the Niners are going to beat them.
You went from the Raiders beating the Rams to pretty confident the Rams were going to go undefeated, and the Raiders could barely even win a game.
Yep. how quickly things have changed halfway through the season.
Very convenient. Yeah, so I'm gonna stick with the Raiders.
Stay true.
Chargers at Seahawks. I'm just not a fan of the Seahawks. I haven't been a fan.
I'm doing a little bit of your logic. The Rams are good. The Rams went into Seattle and could only beat them by 2. Chargers probably can't go into Seattle and beat them by 2 or more.
The Seahawks or the Chargers are just as hot as the Seahawks. So this is a good toss-up game.
Yeah, Seahawks winning 4 out of their last 5. I don't know how hot the Chargers have been. But...
I think they've won 5 in a row.
I feel like I don't even know anybody's records.
Let's see here. 4 in a row, excuse me. They are 5-2.
And the Seahawks are 4-3.
Mm-hmm.
Got
it. So basically a wild card predictor game.
It's a big game. Seahawks have a mighty tough schedule coming up too.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a game.
So I can only gain ground on 2 games.
Bottom 2, correct.
Damn. One of them's probably not going to work out. The other one's a toss-up.
Mm-hmm.
So more likely, when I do my pick-em this week, I need to rethink my strategy.
So when I go 5-0,
take the Kevin strategy. All right. Well, speaking of bad strategy, let's move on to NASCAR.
Ooh.
I don't have that.
Segue.
We got some good strategy going on here. Final 3 races.
So, I did some
What's the
research
strategy?
on this. Before we talk about what happened and where we are, we discussed it earlier a couple of weeks ago how we were going to have the last 3, or the last race was included in the chase. Now, last year we did it differently, though. Last year we each took someone that was in the final 4. We reset. I looked it up.
Okay.
So did we?
Are you offering that we go back to that route?
Did we want to do that, or because this is going to change my strategy?
Well, it's going to change my strategy too.
Yeah, so did
Well,
or
mine
did
too.
we?
I don't want Kyle Larson if I have everybody available.
So did we
You
want
guys have freaking Kyle Busch and Logano left, and
Yeah,
then
did
little
we-
me with Larson.
Mm-hmm. Did we want to reverse back to that?
So
Because basically
I'll
my
let the guy
Kurt
who's
would
winning make that decision.
be. Yeah.
man,
I'm not gonna make that decision.
Yeah.
I mean, if that's how we did it last year, I think it's fair to keep it the same.
To be the same as last year, or what it is now.
Keep it as what it was last year. I mean, that's how
Okay.
we did it last year.
I don't know.
So
Fine,
my
works.
Kurt Busch is going to change to Kyle.
Doesn't really change my other 2 picks. I just gotta wait to see who makes the final 4. Well, you know Logano's in, so you can take Logano. What do we do? Whoever was leading had first pick. So
Yeah.
on, so okay.
I started by Babe Ruthing this. Or calling my shot. But then I was like, wait a second, this doesn't seem right. I feel like we picked on the last race. And so I rewatched that segment of the episode, and we did. So, because Steffan took Harvick like 2 weeks in a row, and that's why he won.
Oh, that's why I won. Had nothing to do with the rest of the chase that I.
Hey.
Listen, this chase, I did not do well. The previous last year's chase, I did well. I made up some ground, won it.
Speaking of this chase.
You made up some ground, the ground that you made up, and did what Cory couldn't do last year.
Mhm.
I'd be extremely impressed. Hoping that doesn't happen, because I will drink myself to death.
This is one of the first races in a while where all 3 of us had like, well, call space. These are all top 5 drivers.
The only thing I worried about, I mean, Logano races there well, but he just won. So, like,
Can you continue momentum?
Is he really going to try that hard, though? I mean, he's
Is it
already
gonna be
in.
It'll be
bumping.
millions of dollars if you win a race, though.
True. Yes.
That's the only thing is they're racing. You're right, he's in, but at this point he's racing for money.
But I just think, like, would he, like, obviously he'd be racing harder, I feel like, if he was still trying to get in.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah.
Like, he'd probably take more chances.
Absolutely. Well, we saw Martinsville, he took a chance. You guys saw, actually. You guys should talk about it.
That was pretty crazy.
Crazy.
I don't usually, I mean, I tuned in probably for, like, the last, like, I don't even know, 20 laps maybe.
It's the most exciting part of NASCAR. I always say tune in at the last 20, 25, and you'll see the most.
Especially at Martinsville.
See pretty much everything you need.
It was such a short track. Like, it was just, like, they were just flying around. I was like, this is going to end in, like, 5 minutes. I might as well just stay right here.
Yeah, I had it up on my phone. I was watching, and I was like, oh, all right. Might as well. My guy's in the lead. I actually watched from 50 laps left. And he was in third at one point. He had lost the lead and then got it back on pit road. So
pit road.
And then he went back and forth with Truex Jr. at the last lap, including making some contact, which Truex Jr. obviously did not appreciate.
You know, neither of us have broken 50 in the chase. Kevin's broke 50 3 times. 4 times.
I know. He's broken 50 4 times. I've broken 40 4 times. And
I've broken 40 once.
Yep.
The one winner I picked.
Hey, you got to do what you got to do to get back in this thing.
It is amazing that he has 4 50s.
I'm also the only one with single digits, too.
You're also what?
The only one with single digit racer.
Yeah, you made up for that with the rest of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Man, I'd be in the lead if I had picked better there.
Yeah, you picked a rookie at a risky time.
Mm-hmm. So with that being said, I'm taking Kyle Busch this week instead of Kurt.
So you're taking the best driver in NASCAR at a good opportune time.
Mm-hmm. He was good at this track, I believe. I was doing my research, and it was either this track or the last track, which it still may end up depending on how we finish going into the last race. And then I picked Elliott. I picked Elliott because he does better in Phoenix, it looks like, judging on his past. So
I took Keselowski because Texas, even though it's a mile and a half, it rides fast, and Keselowski prefers those kinds of tracks. His average there off that site we go to isn't great because Keselowski either finishes in the top 5 or crashes. So I'm being very risky. I'm rolling the die.
might end up in second at least.
Having said that, in Phoenix, I took Hamlin because he is very, very consistent at Phoenix. It's one of his best tracks. Neither one of my drivers are in the chase, but they both will be racing for money. So I'm not worried about them not trying. It's going to be some of those lesser drivers like Bowman, who's not going to be trying because he's in it with nothing.
Should have took Bubba. No?
No.
I just went with Logano. His past 5 races, 3 out of 5. He's finished top 5.
Good percentage.
It's decent.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see what happens. His lowest finish in 5 races was 7th.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I like it.
It's Kyle's lowest 19.
Huh?
19 for Kyle. Well, we know Brad because I told you his strategy. So.
But Kyle Busch also has 2 wins there.
Well,
I think Joey Logano's due. It's not funny. He is due.
And then you went with Kyle's brother for Phoenix.
Yeah. It's the only good racer I really have left.
Yeah, Kurt Busch is a good racer.
It was literally either him or Eric Almirola.
I actually think
that's why If we were doing it the other way, that's why I took Eric Almirola.
At this point, I know Harvick and Kyle are like the favorites, like they are every year. Truex as well. Well, Truex is out. So
Kurt Busch is kind of playing above.
Kurt Busch is like the dark horse, I think, because he won the whole thing. He won a championship his rookie year, and he's never won since. And I think everyone thinks that he's just like a one-hit wonder. And this year he's driving well, and I think he wants to prove, I can beat my brother. Right. I am good.
Be interesting. Interesting finish to our season here.
I'm excited.
I'm not.
He's nervous.
I'm extremely nervous. I talked a lot of shit going into this chase. I did not back it up one bit.
Did not cash those.
If I could just get like a nice cushion on this race, I'd feel a little better. Mm-hmm. But I feel like I'm going to lose my lead this race. if I mean, that's just the way it's been going. Like I have not been able to pick anybody on the right race.
I'm going to drop another 50.
No, hopefully not.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Even though Kyle wins here. Yeah. And he's the best driver in NASCAR.
All I can do is hope to just be within striking distance going into the last race.
What if it just stays like this and it really comes down to Miami? That'll be fun.
That will be fun.
Mm-hmm. Basically,
I'll definitely have to watch the last 20 laps of Miami.
Last year, I mean, I don't think you weren't really in striking range. Were you?
I never got in striking range.
You were
I had the best chase, but it didn't matter.
Yeah. I think
he was so far behind.
This time, Kevin has the best chase, but he obviously had a much better chase than I had last year.
Yeah.
Well, he has 450s. I mean, enough said.
Yeah. One of them might as well be a 60.
Yeah.
2 winners, which we didn't have last year at all. We didn't have anyone guess the right racer.
All through the chase?
At all last year. We didn't have anyone pick right. We never... maybe
even during the regular season? I feel like we had some.
I thought I did once in the regular season.
It wasn't... If we did, it was only once.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I did. Yeah, this year we've been a lot better.
Yeah.
It's year 2. I would hope you guys know a little bit more about NASCAR each year. Can only improve. It's only up.
I just proved that the rest of the season doesn't matter, and it's all about the chase.
It still matters, because if the chase didn't matter, Steffan wouldn't have the lead.
Yeah. And you would be way beyond all of us. If you had just if you had not played like shit throughout the whole fucking regular season, we would not even be within reach right now. You might be kind of close.
I'd be 393.
You'd probably be good
chase,
40.
He has 293 points. Right. I have 250.
I'd be 393 with 100. You'd be at 204.
You better.
Yeah, that'd be rough. Regardless, I am in first place. Let's keep it at that.
Basically,
the regular season matters.
The regular season matters.
What I'm hoping for, though, is that Kyle Busch at least gets more than 40, which would mean he did better for me than both of you.
What I'm hoping for is Kyle Busch crashes.
You're hoping for a Keselowski Kyle Busch tangle
very
up?
Early on.
Nice little Logano to the win.
Right into the wall.
Those two hate each other. It could happen.
I would not be upset about that. Although my luck, I'd be right behind that crash. I'd crash too.
Or just to piss you off, it would be
out lap 1. Take care of business.
Yeah, right.
A sweet take that, buddy.
Jesus.
Don't be part of that.
You better not be next to each other at the end, or you are screwed.
Right, what do we got next here?
We only have NBA left.
NBA left.
So last week, I mentioned some teams that were undefeated and how we felt about them. This week, there's one.
And 2 of them played each other.
Raptors, Bucks played each other. Bucks took the...
Neither of them had their superstars.
I know. So it just means the Bucks are a little bit deeper.
Yeah. But we kind of expected that.
We knew that. The Bucks kind of beat them handedly, so it does prove Kawhi Leonard changes that whole Raptors team.
I mean, he's legit. He's decent.
He's decent. So how are we feeling about the Bucks? Still think top 2, top 3 Eastern team?
Bucks, yeah. No, I think it's I really think it's between top 3. I would say Raptors, Bucks, Celtics. I think Detroit is wannabes. They're hitting with Boston right now, but
You don't believe in the Griffin Drummond duo?
no. Sixers. I mean, they could be like a close 4th, maybe. Between them and the
I
Sixers.
think Detroit's a top 5 team in the East.
Well, I just said they were 4th,
Yeah.
so that's basically the same thing that you just said.
Yeah, I think they're 4 or 5. I think that's fair.
Um,
I don't know what the Sixers are. I don't know why they've digressed.
yeah, they're getting blown out by that Raptors.
Yeah,
right
Kawhi's
now.
back and they're getting spanked.
Cleveland surprisingly might get their first win of the season.
Yeah, they fired their coach.
Cleveland, the city itself, has cleared house,
All coaches, bye-bye.
except for the Indians. Apparently, are hanging on to theirs.
Yeah, they were happy.
They made sure everybody knew that they were hanging on to their coach. But yeah, no, it's. I mean, I don't know what Charlotte's record is. Kemba's been balling out, but I don't know how their team is doing as a whole.
I think they're average, like 5,500. Could be wrong. Could be right.
You're probably wrong. I'm sure. Usually are.
They're 3 and 4.
So not average.
Miami is.
I mean, I would say.
The surprise is Washington. We both had them as a playoff team.
Yeah,
They are 1 and 5.
I mean, it's so early in the season. It's hard to like.
I think we had them in. Everyone else we had them in, and I don't think we had Charlotte in. Or maybe we didn't have Miami in. One of those two. We had the other ones.
Yeah, I wouldn't put any of those.
No, we didn't put any of those other ones in. Right? Yeah, because I think it was depending on if LeBron left. We might have had Cleveland in, I guess.
Right. Out in the West.
This one's surprising. There are 3 teams that are out of the playoffs right now that I would have had in.
OKC, Houston,
and Minnesota. I would have said our playoff teams.
Minnesota's got too much turmoil going on.
Now, I didn't know it was going to be like this.
But yeah, no, I think that's a big playing a big factor in how their season's going to go.
And the Clippers, to me, are playing above what they are.
Yeah. I don't even, who the fuck's even on their
Gallinari is their star. Come on.
Is that?
Yeah. I mean, he's a good player, but he's not a superstar.
LeBron and his Lakers.
They're bad.
I don't know if they're bad. Just not getting the job done.
The Lakers suck.
They'll come around. It's still early in the season. I just saw a headline that said Lonzo needs to get engaged. I don't know if that means like
who's his girl?
I think
That's what I was
saying.
gonna say.
I don't know if it means like a fiance or like he just means like get engaged in the game.
In the game.
Yeah.
Like everyone says that about Lonzo, but I just think that's his his facial expression. Like I don't think he like looks like he's super energized and into the game, but he is. I think he cares.
Yeah.
You wouldn't be an NBA player if you didn't give a shit about
You wouldn't get to
basketball.
that level.
Right. So he cares. He just doesn't show it.
Yeah.
He's the one that said that he needs to get engaged.
Yeah.
He's a poker player.
But he also says he's just not doing his job. So.
Just not getting the job done. Like I said, they don't suck. They're just not getting the job done.
And this just in, Houston has a problem.
Houston.
Yeah.
We have a problem.
We have a problem. It is Carmelo Anthony. No, I can't blame Carmelo Anthony.
It is Carmelo Anthony. They were fine without him.
No.
Why add a cancer to your team?
No, they thought that they were so good they could get rid of their defensive specialists, both of them. Said, see you later. See you later, Ariza. See you later, Umba Amute. We don't need you. Well, Houston. This just
Well,
in.
they added a player that doesn't play defense.
And then they added one who doesn't play defense. That's why they're probably all in on Jimmy Butler.
What are you talking about? Carmelo Anthony is 1 for 7 so far in this game.
Is there a mute button? I'm gonna mute you right now.
He's 1 for 7 in the game right now. Dude.
I need to get one of those mute buttons.
The Thunder, I'm not worried about, honestly. I feel like they'll figure it out and they'll get in.
They had all last year to figure it out.
Russell will sneak them in because he's a beast.
But he's not carrying
And
the
he
load
has
like
Paul
used to.
George.
He's not carrying the load like he used to.
LeBron doesn't have a Paul George.
Apparently they needed Carmelo Anthony to be good. It was the only time that Carmelo Anthony was a positive influence on a team.
When he was on the Thunder.
When he was on OKC, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because now they've regressed without him. This is the only time the team has regressed
Without
when Melo left.
the Knicks regret.
And let's be honest, Syracuse regressed. They didn't win a championship since then, so.
Denver did get better, though. Denver got better.
Never got
For a
exponentially.
minute.
You got some stats for us?
No, not yet. I was going to mention how Trae Young only scored 11 points yesterday.
It's okay.
He's up and down, but he's okay.
Yeah.
Rookie year.
Rookie year. That's going to be his career, I think.
No.
Okay. My point number 2, Klay Thompson, record NBA record 14 3-pointers.
Do you think that he could go to another team and just be a stud?
Yes.
Like I've had like mixed feelings about him because like he has like those moments where he's completely content with just being like that
third,
fourth option, and and he just does his thing, hits a couple threes, plays good defense.
That's the thing that I feel like is so underrated about Klay Thompson.
Oh yeah, he plays
like he can shoot, yeah, but he not only can shoot almost as good as Steph, he plays way better defense.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely.
That's why I think he could go be a superstar. I mean, he is, but he could go be a big, big superstar.
I feel like he gets undervalued a lot.
Definitely.
I feel like you got Steph and then you got Durant. Those are like the hot tickets, and then Klay Thompson's kind of third, and then
Draymond.
Yeah, Draymond, I guess.
Draymond gets a lot of hype because he likes talking to the media.
Right.
They love him. I'll skip over the VC one right now. The Rockets we mentioned. So I mentioned the Rockets all in on Jimmy Butler. Do you think it's worth it? Does he really change the Rockets?
I mean, if they throw Melo into that trade and ship him off, then maybe. But I mean, it would definitely add to their team. I think they're definitely all in on winning now. They could care less about the future.
Yeah, the Rockets want to win now.
Right. Which is
But
understandable.
I think Minnesota does too. That's why they don't want to really give it up.
But Jimmy Butler does not want to be there.
I know.
I don't know how long his contract is for. So I don't know how long they have him for. But why not, like...
Sounds like they have him for the year.
Why not sell him and get what... Like, that's pretty good. Like, yeah, you might not be the best first-round picks, but it's still extra first-round picks.
Mm-hmm.
We all know second-round picks usually don't pan out to be anything. But you can get first-round picks. I mean, first-round picks are usually pretty valuable.
Normally.
Even if they're late first round.
Mm-hmm. Then
and you could also package those into like some sort of deal to move up or something. You never know.
They don't have Danny Ainge.
You got 4 of them. Yeah,
they aren't going to make it work.
Danny Ainge.
Danny Ainge, if someone offered him 4 first-round picks, would be like, yes.
Take them. Take every pick you can get.
Yeah. If you want to do
then
that.
you turn it around and trade them all for a first number 1 overall pick. For
you trade them all, and then all of a sudden LeBron would be on the Celtics. He'd be like, suck it.
Danny Ainge.
The last one was just for fun because it's kind of interesting that there is a 40-year-old man in the NBA that can do windmill dunks easily.
I'm going to tell you right now, when I turn 40 years old, I will do my first windmill dunk.
No, you will not. Yeah, Kawhi thought that was fun.
I will record it. What do I got? 8 years? 8 years on the dot.
You better start working out your legs. I don't even think that'll help you.
I'll get there.
There is footage in warm-ups of Vince Carter doing a windmill dunk quite easily on the Atlanta Hawks. I sent it to you guys just because I thought it was crazy. That it was like effortless, like nothing. He didn't even try to jump.
He tried.
He barely tried.
He probably actually pulled a hammy because he's not used to getting up like that.
He windmilled with no problem.
There was a lot of problems with that. It wasn't even that impressive. I was not impressed.
He's 40.
I don't care how old he is. Jordan could probably still do that.
No, he could
Yes,
not.
he could.
We saw Jordan at 40. He could barely dunk.
Jordan could.
Did we not see Jordan
could
at
still
40?
do the
He could
free throw
barely
line.
fade away.
He could barely. He tried to dunk in an All-Star game and doinked it.
He was a little out of shape.
Vince Carter's windmilling in practice.
LeBron could do that at 40.
We'll see.
There's nothing to see. Like I'm telling you right now, he'll do it at 40.
I want to see
Because
it.
LeBron will still be playing at 40 also.
I want to see it. I stand by Vince is the greatest leaper, dunker, whatever you want to call it, of all time.
I don't know about all time.
All time.
I don't know about all time.
You know, is this the year LeBron does the dunk contest?
LeBron will never do the dunk contest.
There's too much. It would damage his myth when he loses.
He's gonna do it next year when Zion Williamson's there.
Stop.
He definitely won't do it that year. He wants no part of Zion Williamson. Vince might do it just to let Zion know. Nah, at 41, I can still dunk you.
Stop. Just stop.
That
Ridiculous.
good old Tar Heel Blue Devil rivalry.
What kind of clown show we're putting on right now?
The best. Wrigley.
Simply the best.
Oh, there we go.
All right. Well, we did our top 5 candies. Steffan, what's yours?
Top 5. Number 5. Snickers.
Trash.
4. What are those little wafer things?
Necco wafers.
Yeah, Echo wafers. 4. 3. Starburst. 2. Peanut butter Reese's. Number 1.
You're the only one to have those.
Numero uno.
Also with the Necco wafers. Don't forget about those. If that wasn't a given.
This guy. Numero uno. Good old Apple.
Get out of here. Get out of here. What kind of clown show are we running now?
Jesus.
Number 1. My go-to. 3 Musketeers.
Really?
It's my go-to.
Look at you're boring, Kevin, with those.
It's fine. I don't know. Is he?
Oh, I want to hear what you think he is. Cause
Yes.
I had a comment.
I feel like he is Indiana Jones.
There you go.
Oh,
Oh, I got it right.
No,
Hey.
that's not what it is. It's a cowboy hat. It's just a cowboy hat. Kid's cowboy hat.
I was thinking that too.
Yeah.
I think it's the shirt that he has on.
we were debating if that should be the question of the week.
That's why.
He does, yeah. I was thinking that
Is
too.
it Kruger, Indiana Jones, or a cowboy?
Hmm.
That's funny.
Indiana Jones.
Indiana Jones is that.
You doing anything special other than working, Steffan, tomorrow?
I'm off tomorrow. That's why I'm trying to slam these couple beers.
Should have shotgunned one.
Shut up. I'll go shotgun right now. Got a shotgun half a beer?
No, I
Yeah,
want
they're
full.
impressed by that.
No.
Okay.
Not impressed.
I'll save it.
It's kind of like watching Vince windmill. You know?
No,
Not impressed.
Not impressed.
not during warm-ups. Maybe if it was in a game.
Yeah. If it was in a game, I would have been impressed.
You would have been more impressed.
I would
Yeah.
have been impressed.
What if it was just like a wide, like breakaway though windmill? Like who cares?
I'd be impressed. 'Cause I don't think he'd have the balls to do it.
About
I'll do
practice.
it.
I don't think he would.
Yeah, do it.
I don't think he would.
I want to see Trey Young like oop him a couple times.
No. Trae Young's better than that.
On
Trae
that
would
note,
throw the old fake oop, pull up for like
I
three.
just want to see Trae Young go in the lane and then like pretend like he's coming out of the paint and just launch it over his shoulder and Vince just come in. Blah. Tomahawk.
Vince can't deal. Like he's like, remember when I told you guys that Trae Young had no talent on Oklahoma? He now has no talent on Atlanta, including
he's still a talentless player. We know that.
Yeah.
No,
Nothing changed.
No, he is the talent, but he doesn't have talent around him. He needs the talent around him so he can be fully appreciated for what he is.
So if he was on
an
Golden State, he'd be
point
blatant.
guard in the NBA.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So Clay, Kevin, byproducts of Golden State's system.
And stuff, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All three of them.
Top three.
Just throw in the whole team.
Draymond is not. Draymond is legit.
Yeah, he is what he is.
Too legit to quit.
You guys watching any Halloween movies before Halloween happens? No?
I watched Halloween and Halloween 2.
Yeah, I did see that. I saw you guys were watching Halloween too.
Mm-hmm.
I like the, I'm a bigger fan of the, what's his name? Rob Zombie Halloween movies.
Haven't watched them.
They're good.
Didn't you have another one coming out last year?
Rob Zombie, like a Halloween movie?
Yeah, I think it's Halloween
Oh.
2.
Like or
No, he already had Halloween. That was a while ago, though.
Oh.
He came out with
Wasn't
another one, I think.
He came out with another movie, but it wasn't Halloween. It was called like 13 or something.
Oh, okay, that's what it was.
Yeah.
That's the one.
And it got like
Better.
No, it just he had to like edit it a bunch because they wouldn't give him like an R rating because it was so
out there.
yeah. So and he was not happy about it. But I think he released like a director's cut where you could like watch it like.
Rob Zombie came out with Halloween 2 in 2009.
Yep, like I said, it was not last year.
When was it? When was it?
2009.
Oh.
That was a while ago. I thought it was closer than that. Seems
So it is.
it's 9 years ago. No, that's not right.
All right, IMDb is lying to me.
I guess so. I'm telling you, that's not right. I don't believe it. I'll look it up myself.
Wikipedia. Got 4.9 on IMDb.
Oh, yes it is. Damn.
Getting old.
Holy shit. I was like a big fan of those movies. I didn't realize they were that old. This, 31 was the
31. I still want to see that. Could be
Yeah,
interesting.
I haven't seen it yet. Right there. It's $3.99
Right there says you haven't seen it. Yeah.
for fight on YouTube. That came out in 2016. Has a score of 35 out of 100. It's not terrible.
Based on 13 reviews. Generally unfavorable reviews.
I'm gonna go with my favorite Halloween movie that I like to watch. I don't really have a favorite,
But you like to watch it.
but I like to watch it.
House?
Jason, Friday the 13th.
Which one?
Any of them.
Just all of them.
All of them. Mostly, Jason Goes to Space. Probably the worst one out of the whole entire franchise.
Oh God.
But the
On
only,
that note.
but the only
On
one,
that note.
but the only one I can think of that stood out on top of my head.
Okay.
Although I did like Jason versus Freddy.
I liked
Nightmare
that
on Elm
one, too. I
Street.
thought that was good.
That's a good one.
Are
Alright.
we wrapping it up?
Wrap it up, Kevin. liter?
Half
Jesus Christ, dude.
liter soda. Makes me
Do you have any alcohol in there? No.
weird.
You know, not all of us have to drink, Stefan.
I have to drink.
It's just me now. Yeah,
Well,
It's just
I mean, some of us didn't have that bad of a fantasy week as you.
Listen, my fantasy football team had a way better week than yours.
That's
Kudos
only.
to you for not playing Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, I would have won. I'd be 6-2.
When did you realize that you didn't play him? Did you realize like after Thursday, or was it like
No.
Sunday?
I realized I didn't play him after the first quarter of the game.
rough.
Yep. And I just watched his point total go up, been up, been up.
That's awful.
I thought it was the Bills Patriots on Thursday night. So I thought I was safe.
Right?
I was not.
You were not.
Till next time.
Next Tuesday with you boys.
Oh yeah.
Always cool.
A-Town. Trey Young. Laying it out.